Hello students. This video will go over the steps for how to create a mockup in Pixlr. In the previous video in this series focused on how to create a pattern and introduced you to the assignment. If you have not watched that video, please check that out because it does explain more about subjects that you can use for this assignment, but some of it will be a refresher. So first of all, a mock-up as you work is kind of a digital sample of what an image, logo, color combination, or pattern might look like on a real-life product. So before a company goes to print or a piece of furniture is made, they want to test out that color combination, that pattern, that style on a product. They will make a digital mock-up and present it to a focus group that will then tell you whether they like the product or don't like the product, whether they would buy it, and those kind of things. So there's a variety of subjects that use digital mock-ups, anywhere from beauty products, packaging design, advertising, to t-shirts, manufacturing, as well as architectural, buildings, interiors, and exteriors. So there's a whole lot of options for you to choose from. This video, again, is only going to focus on the how-to. So first step is going to be choosing a picture. When you're looking for a picture of either your product or a building or a room, it is helpful if the project is a solid color, preferably either all white or all black, so that it's easier to then place your pattern and your logos and your coloring into that product. It is also helpful if your product is flat, whether it's either a box or a cube or a rectangle, or whether it's a smooth curve, such as it has a cylindrical shape. So I would consider a t-shirt or sneakers to be kind of a cylinder form, as well as beauty products, lipstick, soap bottles, any of those kind of things as more of the cylinder form. So as long as it's either rectangular based or cylindrical based, it's okay. If it has a lot of ups and downs and nooks and crannies, it's going to be a little harder to create your mock-up. So once you have a picture, the second step, which is where a majority of this video is going to be on placing your pattern on top of your product. So this tool for this assignment, we're going to be using a program called Pixlr. And we're going to be focusing on masking and blending, using blending modes and masking to basically place a sticker over on top of the photo that we've already picked. So without any further ado, let's get into the first steps of how to use Pixlr. So there is a link for Pixlr in your Google Classroom. But there are two versions. Hopefully in this class, we're going to be using Pixlr E because it's a little bit more of an advanced editor. Pixlr X is just a little simplified version. You can use the same files in both programs, but I'm going to do this in E, and all the demonstrations that I'm going to record are in E. To create a new document, I'm going to just hit plus, and I'm going to choose Full HD and call it Product Mockup. And then I also like to turn on the background and just keep it as a white. You could turn it on gray. It's up to you. Sometimes if it's gray, it's actually easier to see when you place things on top of it. So here's a little bit of the layout. You have your toolbar on the left. You have your files menus on the top. And then you have your layers panel, your zooming in and out over here, and then your history. So the nice part about this program, it does have all the layers features as Gravit, as Clecky, but it's not limited like Clecky. You can have way more than 8 layers. The only key difference is how you place pictures. So the first thing I'm going to do with my blank canvas is I'm going to place an image into that, then I place my mock-up picture into that. So to do that, instead of going to Files, I'm going to go to Layer, and I'm going to click Add Image as Layer. And now I'm going to be working on this milk carton example because it has both a flat and a round surface. Now is when you would want to add your own picture. And then once you've placed it, you can resize it, you can rotate it, you could crop a little bit of it. But once it's placed, you just hit enter. And while I'm at it, I'm going to crop off these extra pieces so that I'm left with just the photo. And I've got my product mock-up. It is also helpful on this layer. You can turn it on or off. It's also helpful to just lock it for right now so that you don't move this at all around when you're working. So I'm going to repeat that process again, and I'm going to place pictures of my pattern for this surface. Then I'll repeat the process for each surface that I want to do. So I need to do a separate mask for this layer, this piece, and the bottle. If you were trying to be really detailed, you could also do a separate mask just for this piece, but you do want to do each individual flat surface is a separate picture. So I'm going to go to layer, add image as layer, and I'm going to place a pattern on top of it. Now I have a bunch of floral patterns, but in my opinion, this reindeer is probably better for my milk carton because it could be like an eggnog or something like that. Flowers and milk don't really mix. So I need to zoom out in order to size it down. But I want my picture to be just as tall as the milk carton. Not too much bigger, but just a little overlap is fine. And I'm going to just size it up and shrink it in. So next, I need to think about adjusting for perspective. Looking at this rectangle, the rectangle is a perfect rectangle. Every corner is a right angle, which means that it is flat and it is facing me. But this milk container is slightly tilted to the side. So I would need to adjust the perspective a tiny bit. And to do that, you would go to Edit, Free Distort. And then you can kind of close that ad. No, let's get that ad out of here. There we go. Click on each corner. Oh, it closed it. Edit, Free Distort. And now I can kind of adjust the bottom up a little bit. And this angle and this edge match. And this edge, I'm going to just bring it down a tiny bit. And it just looks a little bit like it's off to the side. It's going to be more pronounced on that piece to the back. And then I'm going to hit enter to apply the distortion. And I'll put that picture back over my milk carton. And once I've got it lined up properly, I'm going to start to make this so that I can see both of those. So you want to turn the opacity down on this layer. So you hit triple dots. And you go to transparency and you just turn it down to like 50. So now I can see both things, and I'm going to start to cut out all of these areas around the milk container. So, got moved out of place. Zoom out, place. Okay, great. So I really just need to cut out up here and down here. So to do that, I'm going to use this cutout tool. And for this side piece, I can just use the shape tool and click remove to remove it from my selection. But up here, I'm going to need to do a little bit more fine adjustments. So I may need to do kind of like a rectangle because there's a little bit of a decrease. So I can do a rectangle and then maybe just a little bit of a line to kind of cut that edge off. I'll repeat that process again to get that little bit of extra. And there we go. I have the first surface done. If I turn the transparency up, you can see that it's starting to look like the product is on. So for the rest of this video, I'm going to just focus on adding the pattern to the two sides of the bottle or of the box, and then I'm going to do the bottle. So I will speed up the video for the box and meet you back here to go over how to do curved or rounded objects for the bottle. So you can either skip forward a few minutes or all right, everybody, we're back. I do want to kind of just add a little something about curved shapes. So I'm at the bottle. I'm going to start to cut out the extra pieces that are around this curved surface. So I'll start with the square to kind of remove the big areas. But there are some areas where I just can't get a square into. So for example, this area here, I could, if I was really, delicate, I could probably get a really nice curved circle there. And I could get I couldn't get, but it would be very hard to get this curved circle down here. So I'm going to show you how to use the draw mask to get that area. So again, with this draw mask, the tools are, I always want to have it say remove from mask. And I always prefer to use these hard brushes that are at the top. So I'll start with 10 and I may go down to 5, but I won't go to 1. If I'm using a 1 size brush, I'm getting too detailed and that's just too much. So with this, you can use it to kind of get along these curved surfaces, and I'm taking a breath and I'm working slowly and I might be done right there. And then I'll go in with a bigger brush and I'll do the edge over here and then I'll just go in with the bigger brush. So some people like to work one like little bits, so they just click, click, click and just kind of do like dotted line along the edge. That's okay too. If you're feeling like that's your preferred style, rock it. But now I'll turn my brush bigger and do like a 50 brush and just go in and erase this extra and erase this extra. And I'll zoom down and kind of, it looks like I need to touch up this edge over here too. But I'll get this curve by just clicking and moving and just going around and around and around. So this edge, it looks like because the bottle is at a little bit of an angle. So I'm going to try and do this with the line tool and just grab it and come down. Because the line tool is helpful for getting straight edges that are at an angle. And then I'll use the draw mask to kind of just clean up that edge. And zoom out. So now I've got the same pattern on both, so which is great because then if I turn the transparency up on all of these, you can start to see what it looks like. In the next video, I'm going to get into how to use blending modes to make it look like the two things are kind of together, as opposed to just looking at as looking like a sticker that's just stuck on top of the product. If anybody has any questions, feel free to email me. Otherwise, I hope everybody's safe and well and have a great day.